Hey everyone, welcome back to Age and Education channel. Today we shall continue with the chapter Microorganisms. So in the last video we have dealt with as how these microorganisms will act as a friend for human beings, right? So in this particular video we will look as how these microorganisms act as foe, as in the sense as how harmful this can be for the human being, plants and animals, right? And apart from that, we will also look into nitrogen cycle. Okay, let us start with this video. Harmful microorganisms. Certain microorganisms are known as pathogens because they cause diseases in humans, animals and plants. These harmful microbes can spoil food, clothing and leather, leading to waste and damage, right? So what are these microorganisms that are harmful are called as pathogens, right? This is very important. And these cause harm and diseases to humans, animals and plants. They also spoil food, clothing, leather, leading to waste and damage. Then, what are these communicable diseases? Microbial diseases that spread. Here there should be a column. Okay, so communicable diseases, microbial diseases that spread from one person to another through air, water, food or physical contact are called communicable diseases. Common examples include cholera, common cold, chickenpox and tuberculosis, right? So these are the diseases that are spread by air, food, water or physical contact. As such, these are called as what? Communicable diseases, right? So, next. Diseases can spread in various ways. When a person with a common cold sneezes, tiny droplets containing viruses become airborne and can infect others. Houseflies sitting on garbage can carry pathogens and contaminate food. The female Anopheles mosquito spreads malaria by carrying protozoan parasites, while the Aedes mosquito spreads dengue, which is caused by a virus. Right? So diseases, how will they spread? They can spread through sneezing, like the tiny droplets containing virus will spread into the air and will infect others. And the houseflies will sit on garbage and can carry the pathogens that will contaminate the food. And the female Anopheles mosquito spreads what? It spreads malaria. So this type of, what is this? This is a particular type of mosquito that will carry the protozoa that will cause malaria, right? And this type of mosquito will spread dengue, right? Don't get confused with it. These, like this one, they will ask us this type of Anopheles mosquito will cause what disease in the human being, right? You should remember that Anopheles causes malaria and this Aedes mosquito spreads dengue, which is caused by a virus, right? Then diseases in animals. Animals are also affected by microbial diseases. Anthrax is a severe disease caused by bacterium Bacillus anthracis and can affect both humans and cattle. Another example is foot and mouth disease, a viral infection that impacts cattle, right? So not only humans but also these animals will fall prey to these pathogens, right? So in what way animals are affected by microbial diseases, and among that anthrax is a severe disease that is caused by what? Bacterium Bacillus anthracis, and this can affect not only animals but also humans. And what is the other example? Foot and mouth disease, a viral infection that impacts the cattle, right? Then diseases in plants. Oh, see, even plants get affected with these microorganisms, right? So microorganisms can damage crops by causing various plant diseases. Examples include citrus canker caused by bacteria, rust disease in wheat caused by fungi, and yellow vein mosaic in bindi, okra, which is caused by a virus. These diseases can significantly reduce agricultural productivity, right? The farmer has to extensively take care of his crop. Otherwise, the crop will fall prey to this pathogens and the agricultural productivity will get severely affected, right? So what are the examples that we have mentioned here? Citrus canker caused by bacteria, rust disease in wheat that is caused by fungi, and yellow vein mosaic in bhindi. It is very important to know, actually, to by heart these sort of things, because these will be part of some fill in the blanks and all that, right? So you have to memorize these. Citrus canker, it is caused by bacteria. Rust disease is caused in wheat and it is by fungi. And this yellow vein mosaic, it can be seen in bhindi and it is caused by a virus. And this will reduce agriculture productivity significantly. So why do you have to preserve food? As I have mentioned earlier, these microorganisms will also spoil the food, right? So we have to find some ways to preserve this food. Otherwise, the food will get easily spoiled and it will become unsafe to eat, right? So microbes can spoil food, making it unsafe to eat. Food preservation techniques help prevent spoilage by stopping microbial growth. This ensures food remains safe, nutritious, and consumable for longer periods, right? So we understood that preservation is very important, right? Until and unless you preserve the food properly, that won't be safe to eat. So what are the common food preservation methods? These methods are, several methods are used to preserve food. Salt is used to preserve meat, fish, and pickles. Sugar is added to jams, jellies to reduce moisture and prevent bacterial growth. Oil and vinegar create acidic and oily environments where microbes cannot survive. Chemical preservatives like sodium benzoate and sodium metabisulfite are also used in foods like squashes and jams. So what are all the preservatives we have seen here? See, salt. It is used to preserve what? Meat, fish, and pickles. And sugar is added to jams and jellies to reduce moisture and prevent bacterial growth. See, bacteria thrives in moisture. Like it likes the moisture content. If there is moisture, then it will get easily contaminated the food. That is the very reason your parents will actually ensure that everything that they cook, so which has to be preserved for longer duration, is free from moisture, right? So oil and vinegar, these are other sort of what do you call, preservation method, wherein it will create acidic and oily environment wherein the microbes cannot survive. The chemicals like sodium benzoate and sodium metabisulfite are also used in foods like squashes and jams. And the sodium benzoate, take any bottle like jam bottle or anything, just check in that, you can find sodium benzoate, as it is a very popular preservation method, like preservation ingredient that is used in most of the packaged materials, right? Next, heat and cold treatments. Like heating food, like boiling milk, kills harmful microbes. Pasteurization is a process in which milk is heated to about 70 degrees centigrade for 15 to 30 seconds and then rapidly cooled. This technique, discovered by Louis Pasteur, makes milk safe to drink without further boiling. See, it's just that these days when you see the milk packet being used, you'll just think it's so common to get the milk packet, drink it safely, and stay happily, right? But it is like previously many pathogens used to contaminate the milk that we used to drink, and many people would fall like they used to succumb to many diseases because of this milk. So with this discovery made by Louis Pasteur, this process of pasteurization has helped people to get rid of this sort of contamination, right? So what happens here is, in this pasteurization process, the milk is heated to about 70 degrees centigrade for 15 to 30 seconds, and then it is rapidly cooled. Because of this, all the harmful microbes that are present in the milk are killed, right? So after getting rid of this, we can safely consume the milk, right? Okay. So apart from the ways that we have seen as how to store the food so that it won't get contaminated, one other way to do it is through proper storage and packing. The modern food preservation also relies on proper storage and packing. Airtight containers and sealed packages help prevent exposure to air and moisture, which can lead to microbial growth. As I have mentioned earlier, air and moisture are something that will increase the risk of contamination, right? So you have to uh, take adequate care that whatever you want to store is actually free from moisture, and as much less air enters, then you can ensure that the food that you want to store will stay intact for longer period of time, right? So you have to prevent exposure of the food to air and moisture as much as possible. All right, and this modern food preservation also relies on this proper storage and packing. All right, now we are done actually with how the microorganisms acts like food. Now we will get into the nitrogen fixation and nitrogen cycle. All right. All right, we all know that every organism needs nitrogen to live, right? To carry its basic processes, nitrogen is so very important for every organism. And in order to clear out the deficiencies, that in order to put up for these deficiencies, the plants and other organisms will have some or the other mechanism, especially the plants. Some plants like pitcher plant, they are plants and they can produce their own food. In spite of that, they are considered insectivorous. Why is it? It is because they have like they grow in places where there is nitrogen deficiency, and in order to take care of this deficiency, they attract the insects, and using these insects they will get the nitrogen that they want, right? So nitrogen is so important that its availability is always in question. Okay, so we are talking so much about all this. Do you think nitrogen is actually so much deficient in our atmosphere? Do you know how much amount the nitrogen is in our atmosphere? Yes, right? It is more than even oxygen. So when we are saying oxygen is easily available, then how come we are facing this much difficulty for nitrogen to actually be used by all the plants? Tell me, have you ever pondered upon? It is because in spite of so much of nitrogen that is available in the atmosphere, the plants can use it only in some particular forms, which is not the form that is available in the atmosphere. All right. So this needs, what is this? The concept of nitrogen fixation. Nitrogen is essential for all living organisms, but atmospheric nitrogen cannot be directly used by plants and animals. Certain bacteria such as rhizobium found in legume root nodules and blue-green algae can convert atmospheric nitrogen into compounds usable by plants. These microbes are known as biological nitrogen fixers. All right. So, though you have so much of atmospheric nitrogen, this cannot be directly used by the plants and animals. Right. So, there will be different mechanisms that will be used to obtain this, to make the nitrogen that is present in the atmosphere to be available and used by the plants, right? So certain bacteria such as rhizobium, it is found in the legume root nodules, and blue-green algae, it can convert the atmospheric nitrogen into compounds usable by plants. These microbes are what? These are called as biological nitrogen fixers. All right. Now we shall look into nitrogen cycle. The nitrogen cycle, what is it? Here, the plants absorb nitrogen compounds from the soil, right? So what actually happens here? First of all, the first point that you have to remember is plants absorb nitrogen compounds from where? From the soil. And animals obtain nitrogen by consuming plants. When plants and animals die, decomposers like bacteria and fungi break down the nitrogenous waste into useful nitrogen compounds. Some bacteria also convert these compounds back into nitrogen gas maintaining the nitrogen balance in the atmosphere. Alright, so this is a very big cycle wherein first of all the plants absorb the nitrogen compounds from the soil and the animals get it from the plants, and when these plants and animals die, decomposers like bacteria and fungi, they act on this and they will convert it into useful nitrogen compounds. And some bacteria, what they do, apart from making them useful for the plants, they actually convert these compounds back into nitrogen gas, right? And so again this nitrogen gas will get into the atmosphere, and thus this the overall nitrogen will be almost same, and the nitrogen balance in the atmosphere will be ensured, right? Now the question is, how will this nitrogen that is present in the atmosphere will be converted into the useful form? For that we'll have to visit this cycle. All right, see here. Now atmospheric nitrogen, this atmospheric nitrogen can be converted into useful compounds that can be found in the soil and can be used by the plants through two ways, right? The first way would be lightning and the second way would be nitrogen fixing bacteria that fix the atmospheric nitrogen, right? What is this? Nitrogen fixing bacteria which fix the atmospheric nitrogen. So bacteria in turn will fix nitrogen into nitrogenous compounds, alright, and this will enter into the soil. Now this is one way. And what is the other way? Through lightning. So what happens in the lightning? You all know that in this lightning there will be so much of energy is released in the atmosphere, and this makes the nitrogen in the atmosphere to react with the oxygen that is also present in the atmosphere, and we get many nitrogen oxides, and this dissolve in rainwater, forming what? Nitrates, which will be carried to the soil, right? And these nitrates will be used by the soil, like when it gets into the soil, it will be used by the plants. And you know all this, like the plants will, like the animals will eat the plants and they will get the nitrogen, and the nitrogen waste from these plants and animals will be actually sent back to the soil through some bacteria, and some other bacteria will convert these into atmospheric nitrogen, right? So in this way the cycle continues. All right, now see here, it is just, I have explained it, I will just go through it again because this is a complex thing. I want you everyone to understand it very well. Okay, so atmospheric nitrogen is abundant but cannot be directly used by the plants and animals. Lightning helps convert some atmospheric nitrogen into usable nitrogen compounds that we have mentioned. Like what are the useful nitrogen compounds that we have mentioned? Nitrates, right? Nitrogen fixing bacteria in the soil and root nodules of leguminous plants convert atmospheric nitrogen into usable forms, right? These bacteria then further convert the nitrogen into nitrogenous compounds, enriching the soil. These compounds of nitrogen in the soil are absorbed by the plants through their roots. Plants make up these compounds and use them to build proteins and other essential molecules. Animals eat the plants and the nitrogen compounds enter the animal's body. When animals excrete waste or die, nitrogenous waste returns to the soil. Decomposer bacteria break down these wastes into simpler nitrogen compounds again. Some of these bacteria convert nitrogenous compounds back into gaseous nitrogen, which is released into the atmosphere, completing the cycle. Alright, so this is about the nitrogen cycle and we are done with this entire chapter. Alright, before saying bye, if you think that this video is useful to you, do consider subscribing. Thank you. Bye. See you in the next video.